Hello, happy Friday. So happy to be here sharing this practice with you. Our Friday Yin class is going to be based a lot on the wood element. Of the body, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. So, what's really important to me is that you're comfortable and you're warm. And if you need to take any kind of last minute things in order for that to happen, do so. And I will offer lots and lots of different variations. So, really looking forward to meeting you on your mat. So, I'm going to back up and head to my mat, and I hope that you too were coming to your mat. And Kyle said that my zebra pants and the back wall are paired. So there we go. A little bit wild on this Good Friday night, but let's begin. Let's begin in a comfortable seated pose. I'm in Sukhasana. My legs are crossed. You could be in any other variation. So some of you know this, some of you don't, but I'm a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. And when I was a student, one of my teachers would always encourage us to observe nature in order to get some answers. And just this week, maybe like you started to listen to more podcasts and more things that maybe mentally you find to be inspirational. And so I was listening to Jack Kornfield, and he was talking about how in nature, caterpillars, in order to transform into butterflies, they dissolve. And if you were to open a cocoon at this phase, there would be kind of like this caterpillar soup. But I think what I'm getting at is this concept of like dissolving these barriers in the self that we all have, but they're different. So that we can create more space. And this season of spring is for just that. It's for growth, it's for renewal, it's for new life. But this also means that we need to kind of dissolve to clear the clutter in order to bloom. So we start to just add a little bit more richness now to our breath. Even perhaps just breathing both in and out through the nose. And let your breath this evening be the steady point. The shape of our body will move, and our experience in space too can shift, but steady with this breath. So a big part of the liver is to detoxify the body. And in Taoist philosophy, it's the liver that decides if we react or not react. So this evening, we'll stimulate the liver meridian. And I'm just going to trace it for you so you know where we're going, and then we'll come into our poses. So the liver meridian starts at the big toe, And it runs along kind of the top of your foot to the inside of your leg, up the inside of your leg to your groin, and then from your groin to your liver. So you kind of have that information at this time. And now we're going to come into our first pose. So our first pose is going to be butterfly. If you have a block at home, you might like to place your block on top of your feet like so. If you don't, you could use pillows, you could get creative, you can even double stack your hands like so. And then I also want you to check into how far from your groin do you want your heels. So in yin, we can have a lot more space. So I'm going to slip my heels just a little bit wider. And then let's just take a breath in this upright position on the inhale. And as you come into an exhale, it might even take you to start to hinge from the hips and take a forward fold. So in this forward fold, there can be some feedback through the outside line of the hips and through the back line of the body. I've traced the liver meridian of the body. That's our focus meridian today, but it's paired with the gallbladder meridian of the body. And the gallbladder meridian runs along the outside of the hips, along the outside of the legs. So any yin practice has 3 guiding principles. And the first principle has to do with the depth of the pose. I would say that the depth of the pose is based on the Goldilocks rule. So it's based on a depth that you can feel something physically in the pose. It's not too much, it's not too little, it's just right. So let's use sensation as this reminder to just be in the feedback of the now. Our second tattva, our second guiding principle, has to do with the amount of time in these postures, and that time is kind of anywhere from 3 minutes upwards to 20 minutes. In order for us to come out of the superficial muscles and to come into the deeper connective tissue of the body, the tissue that has a composition of more plastic than elastic. So a nice analogy is like when you were a little kid. Well, for me anyways, we had those hard pieces of toffee at Halloween, and you put them in your mouth, and it just took a little bit of time for that hardness to start to become more malleable. So from depth, from time, we come into our third principle, and that third principle is the resolve to remain still. So the energy of the liver is a rising energy. If we think of springtime, there's upwards and outwards expansion. But the energy of the liver is also about cooperation and adaptability and organization and self-expression, which I think at this time is all really valid. So let's just take a few more breaths as we settle in this space, as you settle in this space. And as you move past this concept that clutter is more than just kind of the physical. Clutter can be based on ideas and relationships and habits. And clutter can be just simplified as anything that is no longer supporting the betterment of the self. So a time to clear away clutter and to allow yourself just to breathe and be in space and possibility. I'll bring you back in 3 more cycles of breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And inhale and exhale. Please take it really slow to come out of this pose. Bring your hands to either side of your feet. Then tuck the chin in. So I'd like you to exaggerate this concaved action in your chest to roll and round vertebra by vertebra. And then hands to outside of knees. Close the book off, soles of the feet to the ground, and you're going to windshield wiper side to side a time or 2. Beautiful. So at this point, we're going to come into a tabletop or all fours. I'll meet you there. And once shoulders are stacked over wrists and once hips are stacked over knees, I'd encourage you to shut down your external gaze, come into your internal gaze, and start to scan the main central column of your body, from the tip of the tailbone to the top of your head. So part of knowing when and how to grow is firstly coming into center, coming into the place of the self that is unwavering. And so we hug into the midline on this next exhale breath, skin into muscles and muscles into bones. And since eyes are closed and since this is a really personal practice, you start to move your body your way, your how. And if there's a way that you can approach this movement less about thinking and more about feeling, do so. And I'll bring you back in a breath cycle more. So let's come back to tabletop, all fours. And we're going to come into baby dragon pose. So another name for baby dragon pose is just a low-lying runner's lunge. Based on the surface you're practicing on, consider extra padding for your back left knee. So I folded my mat over in 2. You could as well. You could also bring another blanket underneath your back knee. Tap the tips of your fingers. So we're going to call these our Superman hands because we are just that. We're super. Right foot is going to step forward. So the integrity of the pose to start is right knee over right ankle, like so. Good. And then if you can remember that concept of an upward facing dog-like action in your spine, come back to it at this time. So bring a sense of broadness across your chest, a sense of space across your chest, and inhale, please pause. Now on the exhale, you're going to take it really slow and just start to slide your back left knee to that first place of feedback across the front line of your left hip. And that first guideline comes into play. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's just right. Beautiful. So from these tamped fingers, please come down to the palm of your hands. And then continue just to load your back leg. Or I should say, load your front leg. Feedback into your back leg. into the hip flexors here, your left hip flexors. And a lot of times when we come into these deep hip openers, it kind of stirs the pot of vulnerability, of fragility. And in yin yoga, that's okay. You know, we really see it as a strength. It can promote change and it can promote growth. So we have one more breath in our baby dragon pose. And then you're going to anchor down into your left hand and bring your right hand to your right thigh. So I'm going to turn to face the camera just so you can see what I'm doing. So my right hand is on my right thigh. Now you can pivot your right foot out about 45 degrees and externally rotate this leg for a variation of twisted dragon. Completely up to you if you bring your back leg in. So just a couple more breaths. And there's this reassurance in yin yoga that we're right where we need to be. And after all, we are human beings. We're really good at being human doings, but this time is about human beings. A couple more breaths. So please take it really slow. Bring your right hand down, bring your gaze down, and as you exhale, you're going to shift the hips back just a little bit. Yeah, let's just move and groove a time or two forwards and backwards, that low lunge and a variation of Ardha Hanumanasana. Beautiful. And then please start to heel toe your right foot wide. And right knee is going to meet left knee, your starting point, tabletop. Before we switch to the second side, big toes come to touch, knees open really wide. And then settle your head on the ground, on your hands or on a block for child's resting pose. And what I love about child's resting pose is that intuitively the internal gaze can settle. It can settle into the inner landscape of the body. So what is it that you're feeling at this time in this pose? In some places, there can be aspects of compression, of perhaps constriction. In some places, there's aspects of space, of expansion. The constant, the continuum of breath in and breath out. A breath more, please. And then we'll meet again in our tabletop in all fours. And that freedom of movement side to side, self-expression, the fluid body. And then from your tabletop, tap the tips of your fingers and we'll switch to the second side. So I'm going to do this to the camera so you can see. Left foot is stepping forwards. Feel free to roll your mat over to protect your right knee. Good. And that upward facing dog-like action for your spine. I just like that upward facing dog-like action for the spine because it brings more space into the heart. It brings more space into the upper back. Good. Hands now firmly to the earth as you start to slide your right knee back. Yeah, so you can kind of see where that's going. And we're in our baby dragon pose, sensing the feedback into the right hip flexors, into the psoas. And a lot of times, just based on lifestyle, our hip flexors are short and tight. We spend so much of our day seated. Good. From baby dragon, let's come into our wing dragon. So right hand is rooted, left hand to left femur bone. Flip your left foot out, and then externally rotate your left thigh. And I kind of make a joke in most of my yoga classes about this pose. Like, this is the pose where, you know, we start to perhaps make silent F-bombs to ourselves. It is a teacher. It is a teacher of where and how we want to get away. And based on the liver, that emotion of anger, it rises, it's explosive. It means we're actively seeking a solution for change. So not to be alarmed if there's a reaction to this pose. Just follow it, be with it, see where it goes. No judgment at all. A breath more. Good. Gaze down, please. Hand down to shift your hips back just a little bit. Flex your left foot now towards your face and rock in and rock out just a time or two. That's it. Beautiful. To heel toe your left foot wide. And then left knee to right knee for tabletop. And once again, I'll just ask that you settle into the comfort of your child's resting pose. It's really important that whenever you do a posture more than once, you have this beautiful platform to observe change. And so how is this child's resting pose different than your first child's resting pose? Is there more clutter? Is there more clutter or less clutter in the inner landscape of the mind, the body, the self? A thoughtful breath more here. And then please support yourself up from child's resting pose. And take a moment to shift shape now into our dragonfly pose. So into open angle pose. So dragonfly pose, just like your butterfly pose, if you have props available to bring the ground up to you, instead of feeling like you have to go down to the ground, please use it. Support is so important. So I'm going to continue to use this block. You could use a block or you could use your pillows. But let's inhale this long, tall spine. And then on the exhale from the front line of your hips, you're going to take a forward fold. And then round through the back chain of the body. So feedback is into the liver meridian from the big toe up the inseam of the legs. starting to settle in this space. You may relax your toes. You may roll out your toes ever so slightly. You may even adjust whatever is supporting your head if your body is craving a new variation as you come into the next safe boundary. So it is the liver, the energy of the liver that likes categories. That even likes the concept of a to-do list. But this evening, we're using the liver meridian as a way just to organize our thoughts and to have a greater understanding of where we are in this space. We would say it's the liver that understands the relationship of the middle ground. And as humans, we're on that middle ground, dimensions below, dimensions above. So create space and move into space for a few more cycles of breath. And use ease. Use ease over effort. A breath more here, please. Exhale your choice through your nose or through your mouth. And then inhale, like we did with our Baddha Konasana, our bound ankle pose. Use your hands, please, to roll and round up your spine to come to seated. That's it. Now, once you're in seated, bring your hands behind you, soles of the feet to the earth, and windshield wiper just side to side. Flashing the hips out. At this time, we're going to shift shape to all fours once again. And we're using all fours in order to support the front line of the body all the way down to the ground. So on an exhale breath, bend your elbows. Chest is coming down. Double stack your hands and place your forehead to your top palm. So there's still space for your nose to take in breath and to output breath. There's the feedback of your lower belly into the mat as compression builds on inhale and compression decreases on exhale. A couple more lower belly breaths. And we know that the body changes into a state of relaxation when the belly is able to move, when the respiratory diaphragm is able to move. Doing just that here. Inhale, lower belly into the earth. And exhale, lower belly into the front side of the spine. And last time, inhale. Good, and exhale. So let's bring our hands now underneath the shoulders. This starting point for a cobra pose. We won't be in cobra though. We're gonna adjust our shape to be in sphinx pose. So once you're in that gentle lower back bend, you're gonna bring your forearms down to the ground. Thumbs could come to touch or not. And then we still have that feedback of lower belly into the earth and lower belly into the front side of the spine. Heavy through the pubic bones, but spacious across the chest. So thus far, I've talked about the inner and outer connection between the liver and the gallbladder. And this pose is to come into the element of water because it is water that nourishes wood. So there's compression into the kidneys. And the kidneys in Taoist philosophy, the kidneys in Chinese medicine are the water element of the body. It is the kidneys that anchor the inhale breath oh so deep into the body. So let's make these deposits with the breath in. And let's just relax somewhere, somehow, into our body, into ourself with breath out. Ten more cycles of breath here. If your body is making the request for a new adaptation to this pose, an option is to bring your heels in towards your sit bones. That's the way. 5 more cycles, slow and steady. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Just as you are. 3 more times. Inhale and exhale. And last time. Inhale and exhale. So releasing ever so slow. Tops of the feet to the earth. Then chest to the earth. And I'll just make that request that you linger in our face down position. In our prone position. A checkpoint, essentially a self checkpoint, or I should say a check-in point. But the continuum of change. So after your next logical exhale breath, I invite you to once again return your hands underneath the heads of your shoulders. And then as you inhale, you're going to press your way up into tabletop. You know this pose really well by now. And then moving your hips just a time or two side to side. Our next posture in yin is known as sleeping swan. In yang, it's pigeon. So to come into your sleeping swan on your first side, please start to bring your right knee behind your right wrist. Pivot your shin to an angle that's comfortable towards the top edge of your mat. And then slide your left knee behind you. So we're still kind of a semi-awake swan in this upright position. And we're just going to kind of sift a little bit, rolling your pubic bones towards your front heel. Yeah. And then as your exhale breaths start to get longer, that is the invitation. That and the feedback of your body to start your forward fold. Again, if you have a prop handy to support your head, find it at this time. As supported, as comfortable as you can be in this space. Mhm. So in the clearing of clutter, it might be appropriate to just start to ask your mind what thoughts and what beliefs no longer fit. What am I ready to let go of? And clear it away with a breath. I kind of think of this as we're starting to peel away some debris. In order to reveal something beautiful underneath. It won't be long until we start to see the crocuses. So 5 more breaths here in your sleeping swan. Just sifting through that debris, the debris of the hips. And coming into our last 3 breaths, just as you are. So when you're ready, please use your hands to support your torso up. And very briefly, we're going to tuck our back left toes under and then step the right foot back into a downward facing dog. And just flush the hips out in a way that feels intuitive to you. And the knees to the earth to set yourself up for the second side. So left knee is going to slide behind left wrist and right knee is going to slide back. A semi-awake swan to start. Yeah, rolling your pubic bones towards your front left heel bone. And then exhale a deep, long breath. And your sleeping swan can come into play on this second side. Any sort of support for the head, for the torso. So in that metaphor of the caterpillar, how it dissolves itself, some of the restrictions that we can feel in our body too can start to dissolve. And the hips are a really honest sight. We would say in Taoist philosophy, in Eastern medicine, and in Eastern martial arts, that if we can bring our mind and if we can bring our breath to a area of the body, then new energy can flow into that area. So the feedback that you feel in this pose. So to see new growth, It can take some work. It's that action of spring cleaning. And you just breathe into space, a couple more cycles of breath. And then you take it really slow. So exhale right where you are. And inhale to walk your hands in, lifting your torso up. Back right foot tucks under as left foot steps back into your downward facing dog. And then exhale, knees to the earth, hips back to heels. Child's resting pose, our last expression of. So I think of this child's resting pose now as planting the seed. And how seeds have this amazing ability to last thousands of years. And they know when to grow and how to grow when the conditions are right. So plant that seed, a few seeds deep within you here. And then slower than you want to go from your child's resting pose, you're going to crawl back, or I should say you're going to crawl your hands into your knees, shift your weight onto one hip so that you can come forwards. And then gently start to recline to a back lying position. And since we're here, let's just hug the knees into the chest. And some traction now for the lower back as you shift side to side or front to back. Beautiful. And then as you exhale, please bring your right leg to the mat. And then your left leg to the mat. And palm of the hands are going to face up. Our posture of consolidation, Shavasana, corpse's pose. I'm going to cue a guided meditation here in Shavasana. So in yoga, we talk about the different layers of the body, the koshas. And the first kosha, or the first layer, the first sheath, is the layer of the skin. It's the largest organ of the body. And it's the divide from external and internal. So can you scan the boundaries of your skin in this pose? From the top of your head all the way to the bottom of your feet. The back line of the body, the front line of the body, and the side line of the body. Next, we move into the second layer, the the pranamaya kosha, our energetic body, our breath body, our body of meridians. And it's this energetic body that we build our vitality from. Slow and steady with your breath in and your breath out. Coming to our third layer. And the third layer is the part of the mind that houses the ego. The part of the mind that houses the doer, the eye maker, the achiever. And as I mentioned in this practice, yin can bring us into being. And it's in being that we're able to move past the categories of the ego, the confinement of the ego. And we come into the part of the mind without the ego, the expansive mind, the infinite mind. So that it's in this place that we can come and drop into, let's say rest into, our final layer, the Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss body. And I think there's a bit of misconception about the bliss body in that it needs to be happy or good, these words of positivity. But from my understanding, the bliss body is an objective space. The allowance of what is to simply be. As you peel back that debris, as you clear clutter so there's space to bloom. And we'll just be here for a couple more cycles of breath. If there's something in your house that is bringing your attention back into what's tangible, what's physical, go ahead and use that. You could also use my voice to start to bring you back. And as we rotate our consciousness into the boundaries of the body, the safe boundaries of the body, please start to wiggle your toes, your fingers, your ankles, your wrists. And let's celebrate this practice. Let's celebrate our dedication by a big Friday evening stretch. That's it. Gradually starting to walk your feet in, so knees are over sit bones, and then exhale, choose wisely the side you wish to roll onto. Supporting the head with your bottom arm. Beautiful. And then extending that top leg to crawl your way up to seated. And we're just going to close the benefit of this practice down by taking one more moment of silence and one more moment of stillness. and honored to share space and to share time with you this evening. And so it's with great gratitude that I thank you for your practice. And a forward fold can seal in all of the benefits that we took today. Thank you so, so much. Take good care.